All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Going Rogue podcast. But before we get into that episode, I have some people to mention. One of which being that the Woodridge Celtic Festival is live on heavyathlete.com right now. So if you go look up Woodridge Celtic Festival, Woodridge Farm Celtic Festival, or just go under the calendar function, you can set that up however you'd like. Go check it out, sign up. Heavy Athlete has just released some improvements for both lightweight tracking and then for premium users, a prediction feature, which I think is absolutely awesome. So definitely check them out. Make an account if you haven't so far. Claim your scores and get rolling on heavyathlete.com. Badger Highland Game Supply, you guys have heard us talk about them 1,000 times. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram the same way. Greg Martz makes some fantastic tacky products, equipment, anything you would need to get going in the Highland Games. We've also got the Strength Agenda. They are sponsoring some of our pro athletes for the Woodridge Farm Games. So the Strength Agenda actually offers a Highland Game specific ebook that you can download that's got event specific training, strength development, explosive power, technical precision, and then recovery and mobility modalities built in there as well. So if you're kind of looking for a one-stop shop on how to elevate your training for the Highland Games, reach out to Tom Sroka over there with the Strength Agenda. They also have remote coaching and other training programs available, so be sure to check them out. Scottish Throws Coach, speaking of great coaching, is run by Matt McDougall, one of our frequent co-hosts on the podcast. You can check him out at scottishthrowscoach.com. They have got it set up to where you can set up. That's really repetitive. We're going to edit a lot of that out. So, scottishthrowscoach.com. You can check that out. Matt McDougall is doing remote coaching specifically for the Scottish Highland Games. So, if you're looking for a way to get technique breakdowns and ways to structure your training as well, go check that out. The Savage Life Company. So Savage Life does a little bit of everything. They have personal coaching, they have accessories, they have flags, they have apparel, anything you could be in the market for. And I've got to say, their shirts look absolutely awesome. I think they just put some on the website that are designs they released specifically up at the Arnold booth. They are going to be sponsoring some of our athletes as well and having a booth at the Woodridge Games. So go check them out, savagelife.co. We've also got Stars and Thistles. I'm sure you've seen them making the rounds with their really fun hashtag #BeTacky. So a little bit about them. It's run by the Quarters. It started as a bit of a thing actually from, I believe, Kirsty's father. And so you've got some generational influence in there. And if I'm wrong and it's the not her dad, please don't be mad at me, Kirsty. But I'm going to read to you guys off of their website because I think they said it better than anyone could. They said their story began with a devoted father who cherished the traditions of the Scottish Highland Games and instilled with them the community and friendship that we've all come to know and love. So he's passed down that tacky making ability and recipe to them. And you've got multiple generations going into each batch of tacky, which I think is absolutely awesome. They say in a world that can sometimes feel serious, we encourage laughter and connection. Invite you to embrace this tradition with us and join in the joy of being tacky. So they just wrapped up their Highland Dames Clinic, which I think went over really, really well. You can go check them out at starsandthistles.com. You can get tacky, stickers, apparel, hoodies, t-shirts, you name it, they've got it. They've got some absolutely awesome stuff. So please go check them out. For all the updates on the Woodridge Farm Games and the people that are helping sponsor our pro class and the other levels of our competition as well, you can check all that out at our website, goingrogue.com. Without too much more ado, guys, we are going to get into the games. All right, and last but not least, we do have Kilted Patriot. So Kilted Patriot was founded in memory of Joel Sim. They are working to support the community of the heavy athletics that Joel really helped build and love. You can read more about them on their website, kiltedpatriot.com, under their About Us tab. They are sponsoring the athletic experience as well as individual athletes. That's what they're helping us out with at the Woodridge Games. Their goal is to encourage participation and keep growing the sport. And they tend to really focus on the athletic portion, which if you've ever heard us talk about that here at Going Rogue, that is really what we're big on, is the athlete experience. So we're very excited to be working with them. They contribute for food, swag, awards, things like that. They will have a special award at the Woodridge Games, and hopefully some swag baskets to go along as well for either winners or podiums of certain classes once we get that work out. So they're also working very hard to explore and encourage the adaptive side of the Scottish Highland Games. So if you're an athlete or you know someone who would be a good fit for that, please reach out to them. They are trying to get more adaptive classes at as many games as possible. The games themselves don't have to be adapted. It is just, an implement thing. So they are really pushing to ADs to try and get that much more widely available. So go check them out at kiltedpatriot.com. Again, everyone thinks it's cinematic. In reality, I'm just like, look at my deer. Sandwich, I'm going to come over there, and you know what? I'm going to give my caveat, and then we're going to just let you get. For anyone not on Facebook, which Matt is, I think, currently on Facebook. Yeah. There's been a ton of conversations that started via Masters World Championship drug testing. That's a whole other ball of wax. That has elicited some strong feelings from Matt. My upfront caveat is a lot of the people that Matt is about to disagree with. A lot of them I respect. A lot of them I consider friends. Some of them I don't consider friends, but I still respect their opinions and their experiences. These are Matt's views. Mm-hmm. I'm just here because I physically run the logistics of the podcast. If anyone else would like to come on here and have a long-form discussion, I honestly think that would help more than anything. I think everyone here who is emotionally invested and pissed off is emotionally invested and pissed off because in some way they like the Highland Games. I'd like to think. That's my caveat.
Yeah, so...
I'm out of here.
I'm gone. I have a lot of feelings, and I have a lot of things to kind of touch on, and I'm going to try not to rant too much, and I'm going to try to keep it as even tone as possible. But yeah, I'm pissed off about a lot of things, genuinely hurt, and disillusioned with the sport, and here's why, and here's how it got started. So yeah, someone made a post about how it's wrong that they're drug testing at Masters Worlds, and it's not a good way to grow the sport, right? And to be super duper clear, I don't give a shit about what Masters Worlds decides to do. They're their own organization. They can do whatever they want. If you don't like it, don't do it. And that's pretty straightforward. If you don't like what one organization is doing, don't participate in it. It's your showing up that gives these things power. So there's that. And two, I don't give a shit about steroid use either. I'm not personally on drugs. I'm not personally on steroids. Clarify. I'm not personally on steroids. I know a lot of athletes who are. I know a lot of really good athletes who are. I know a lot of really shit athletes who are.
Arguably, there's more shit athletes that are on than...
Well, yeah, naturally, and of course. I don't really care. I'm not... them being on steroids doesn't stop what I'm in the sport to do. Which is, we'll get there eventually.
Nothing.
Nothing anymore. But, and so there's some back and forth, and I said some, just intentionally mean things, which I stand by, because I meant them. I think it's ridiculous to take steroids to be mediocre. I think it's ridiculous to take steroids and then complain that the protected class of athletes that has enough interest that are putting on worlds, and that the people that have decided that they're going to spend all of their time and effort to put on an event decide the rules of the event, and people say, that's not fair, that's blah, 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 they need to change, when they're not running events or doing any of it themselves. And I don't care about the opinion of those people. Mm-hmm. Not because of talent level, but because of they're not doing it. So why do they have a say? I don't care about, here's a great analogy. For the gym, one of the comments we got all the time from moms, friends, from people's moms, from, that group of like 45 to 65-year-old women was like, I would come join your gym if you guys had treadmills. Well, that's awesome, but we don't have treadmills because we're a hardcore gym. And, it's cool that that's what you think gyms need to be successful, but that's not what my gym is. And so when people are running comps and they decide the rules of their comps, if you don't like it, don't go. Mm-hmm. Like to say that's not how the sport grows. Well, that's how the people that are putting money and time into running the sport have decided the sport's going. And if you as a consumer don't like it, which is what I've been chewed out for constantly, let's turn the logic around on that and say, if you don't like the thing that's being put on and promoted, that's on you. Put on your own shit, be a part of the positive change. But to sit there and whine about it, then these are people that have done 2 games this year. That have been that do 2 games a year. You can say you're part of the community because you go out and LARP, and you're describing it as LARPing. You're describing it as this festival thing. You can say it really matters to you, but it's only a hobby. It's only a hobby to you.
Yeah, and then to give you an idea of where Danny and I, because we talked about it a little bit, just because the whole Masters World post, with even your input on them was a hot topic. I think I fell into the realm of, I don't think drug testing in the sport is the sport's biggest problem right now. I don't think we're at the level for that to matter that much as people want it to. Now, it can matter to certain people, and they can run their comps how they want. I think that's a 10-year from now problem. But at the same time, the other side is, I think regardless of what the answer is, people are always going to be upset. Whether you have a policy, don't have a policy, whether you implement it, don't implement it. I think it's constantly, it's just one of those subjects that no one's ever going to agree on.
And I have a tremendous amount of thoughts on it. And here's the drug thing in my mind. They drug test in Scotland, so there are athletes that get banned from games in Scotland every year. There are plenty of American pros that have gone over and been banned from Scotland that also have repercussions in the U.S. There is actually precedent for enforcing drug bans from other sports. In fact, on the NASCA rules, on the NASCA website, it said that they were
serving a ban from another organization.
They will enforce bans from other organizations. So when you say it's not in the rules, it's not. Well, no.
Yeah, someone hypothetically said that Ponzio's scores shouldn't have been put in a NASCA while he was on his Olympics ban.
Because he was on a ban.
By the NASCA rule set was correct. Isn't numbers can go into heavy athlete. Heavy athlete doesn't have that policy.
Heavy athlete doesn't have that problem. And again, to clarify, we are not heavy athlete.
No.
So, but
I was using an example.
Yes, but it is in the rules, and actually more importantly than that, under most competitions and most logical people and most rules of ethics, it says you have to follow normal state laws. Our rule book doesn't need to say you can't be on cocaine. You can't be on cocaine, guys. So if
you're coming to my game, I want to reiterate, because some of you aren't aware of what I do for a living.
Right.
Please don't show up in the Commonwealth of Virginia in front of me high on cocaine. I will have to arrest you, and that's going to be weird.
You can say and take a high horse and say, people can do, and I'm a libertarian. I do think people can do whatever the fuck they want. But at the same time, that festival is responsible for you. And you are representing the sport. So if you're the one doing illicit, illegal drugs,
they are. The majority of commonly used performance-enhancing drugs are scheduled drugs.
Are illegal. No,
don't get me wrong. They've banned random things that are also in cough syrups. So that's my asterisk on that. Some of your cold medicines would hypothetically fail you out of a WADA test.
And from what I've read of the Masters World thing, doctor prescribed TRT is fine.
You can get what is essentially a medical use exemption form. So I tried
the bathtub
earlier.
Trend that's a problem. And it is, and that's on you. And I'm not the asshole for saying that. You're the one breaking the rules legally. You're the one fucking up.
What I thought was really funky. So they link out. So I clicked on the SAI website to read their anti-doping policy. They link out to WADA and USADA and for the list of banned substances, whatever. I find the testing procedure to be very odd and very... I think it's what they can afford to do, but is it then worth the time doing if this is all you can afford to do, which is, they say, Matt, we want you to go get tested, so go get yourself tested.
Right.
And if you provide us a clean test result, we'll reimburse you for the cost of that test.
Sure.
But
That's not that bad.
It's not the end of the. Here's the thing: it's very reasonable.
Mhm.
I think, especially because they're not telling 100 athletes to go do it.
Yeah,
I think if you were putting that burden on, but
it's not put your genitals into a cup on a field.
yeah, but that's the same reason why I find it odd to make that a problem right now. Because if my answer, some of these guys may not have the $120 to go to LabCorp to do their own test.
Sure, but or they know that going into the game though, and that's on them. But go on.
Yes, but I think that's going to disengage some people. I think it's just
you're disengaging the person that can't afford a $120 test that is also spending $150 to sign up for Masters Champions while spending $1,000 on a plane ticket. So I don't think that holds up, does it?
No, but this is where I think that this is a problem down the road from now, and why I'm not sure why everyone's all spun up right now.
Right.
I think that's the thing our sport should be focused on over the next decade.
It seems like it doesn't really matter right now. It seems like we should grow the sport. I don't know that this is something that takes away from growing the sport. I don't know that this is something that helps growing the sport. And to be perfectly clear,
I can tell you what doesn't help is everyone bitching on Facebook.
Yes.
I think that's not growing the sport. I think that is a public and poor representation of the sport as a whole.
Agreed.
Which is what's actually unfortunate in all of that.
Agreed. And to be perfectly clear, I don't think they should be drug testing. Like, I never said that. That's not my opinion. But I understand why they are, and they're well within their rights to do so. That's my opinion.
Because here's the drug
I don't think they should. I think it's fucking stupid.
The drug testing policy is public knowledge. Anyone can go on their website and look at what their anti-doping policy is and know, like you said, that, hey, they may tell me to go get a test and I may have to go do it.
Sure.
I'd like a little more clarification on there of what kind of test, because I could walk into LabCorp and go, test me, and they're going to look back at me and go, for what?
Yeah, well, when you get into the logistics or the intricacies of that, like, yeah, I think, I mean, again.
But it's also Masters Worlds. What about the guy that comes from Yugoslavia, hypothetically?
Yeah. Foreign, different topic.
Where's he going to go get tested at? Is that even an option in his country?
Right. Right.
What does this mean?
Of course.
Which is the argument for why the athletic directing organization should be the one headlining all of that, not putting it back on the athlete.
Right.
But that goes back to me saying that maybe this isn't this year's problem.
And I agree. Now then, I wonder where it's coming from. Because if they said, hey, we have a sponsor for $5,000, but they want to make sure the sport's clean and that's their prerogative, then everyone would have to shut up.
Then great. Like, hey guys, we're randomly picking one podium finisher from every class and one other athlete from every class. We're going to run it like weightlifting.
Yeah. Yeah, we test whoever wins, and if they pop, we text the next guy and so on. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, back to it, to be entirely clear, I don't agree. I don't think we should drug test. Again, not on drugs, but I don't see the point. I think it costs more money. I do think they're well within their rights to do
There's
it.
There's an angry woman in the stairwell. I was just trying to be nosy.
Trying to see, people on the neighbors. But, yeah, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I just do think it's up to the AD or the festival director, the event organizer. I want to, be specific in my words. The people that are putting on the championships get to make the rule. And if you don't want to attend, vote with your attendance. Yeah. And if you are, and this is where people say, oh, you only think that people that are the best matter or best have opinion. No, but they certainly have more opinion. And one way to, show your opinion is by voting with your attendance, and don't go support things that you object morally.
Yeah, if the guys that are predicted to podium at Masters Worlds,
right?
Pardon me for not knowing your names. There are 1,000 classes of all of you, and I can't keep it straight.
So Scott Hutchinson and Silver Fox, what the fuck is his name? I just threw against him. He's European. He has Piotr Karspoma.
Yeah.
So if the two of them were like, and if the two of them were like, all right, we're not going to show up, and Spencer Tyler, if the three of them were like, all right, we're not showing up for the 40 to 45 age group because we don't agree with this, no implications being made there, because I don't know, I know for some, but I don't know, but if those guys were like, all right, we're not showing up, and then, what's his name, Eric Fraser shows up and he wins, that's going to cast doubt on if that was who should have actually won. And I that's think how you affect those games.
That's what would hypothetically get these organizations, in my guesstimate.
Pros have the ability
to what they're doing.
Pros have the ability to delegitimize games by voting with their attendance. Mm-hmm. That is the extra power that pros have, and pros can also make festivals more money if they are pros that are actually bringing their value. which is my argument that the bottom third, bottom half of people in the pro ranking aren't professionals because they don't bring their value and they're not willing to do the things that they need to do to either get better or bring in more money to the sport. So it has never been like, I think there are standards still, but it's never been as cut and dry as, you don't have 6,000 points, your opinion doesn't matter. Oh, what's your super total, bro? Well, no, valid ideas are valid no matter who they come from. That's the thing. So one way to show that your ideas are valid in training is success. One way to show that your ideas are valid as an AD is by, putting on the same game over and over again, because it means it keeps working. Like your athletic performance does not have a bearing on who you are and your value as a person. It does, it can show and be an example and be a reminder and be proof of your effort, but it does not mean that intrinsically. It can vindicate you, but it doesn't have to. So that's the drug testing part of it.
Okay, what's the next part of it?
The next part of it is people think that I am an elitist somehow, or that pros. It's actually the same comment that was complaining about it. The original post was saying, make masters pay more money while we all have, part-time, full-time jobs on the side. And the implication was, or the, slight there was against the pro class, which made me chortle, like actually chuckle. And that's the thing I was actually responding to at first, because for those of you that don't know, when I first went pro, as an amateur in Highland Games who had the marks to become a pro, I was still working 70 hours a week doing drug reclamations for the DEA. So I was traveling in a van across the Northeast, picking up barrels of meth and destroying illicit materials, and I had a pitchfork and a heavyweight in the back of my van, and I would always get a fucking hotel room on the third floor so that I could flick my sheath bag at my window, because I knew that was about 33, 34 feet. And, so when people say, oh, a full-time job to go do this shit, fuck you. I don't know of any pro athletes that don't have a full-time job, except for maybe Vlad, except I think Vlad does do something. It's just he doesn't post about it because
it probably involves a motorcycle.
Who gives a shit? Glenn Nyes works in a factory. A lot of us, some of us have made careers off of coaching and athletics and being in the gym world, but that's not the games paying us. The most
it's
money,
just good branding.
the most money I've ever made from a Highland Games is $800, and that money didn't even cover the cost of traveling, and then I still gave most of it back. On this one specifically, I gave it back to the people that were there immediately and covered the cost of some of the amateurs and helped people that wouldn't have been able to go to these games without the money. I've never taken it home and said, this is me, because I've always maintained a full-time job, and it's not charity, it's just the right thing to do. I don't need the money because I've made it work. So that was me right before I went pro, and then I owned a gym, and I sunk all of my money into that, and I managed it full-time while running competitions, and I was spending 50 or 60 hours actually on my business, while also part-time working side gigs to make sure I had enough money so that my gym would stay open some months, because that's how it was when I started it. Things cost money, and your overhead starts before you have clients. So, I was fucking driving for Amazon 30 hours a week and still doing some on-call stuff for a government contractor and running my business, and I went pro. So I still had a full-time job there, so I was pissed off when I heard the comment. And then most recently, I'm a fucking stonemason. I've spent weeks outside in 100-degree heat cutting stones. When I showed up to Jeremy's, he can vouch on this, you couldn't tell what color my pants were because of all the stone dust and sweat. I go through 6 fucking shirts a day.
That boy was stinky.
I have to do a load of laundry every night because I'm going through so many fucking clothes. And I found time, and I still hand my money back, and I still donate to things, and I still buy our friends' T-shirts to wear them and support, the people in the community. And so when people shit talk pros, as a pro, I get pissed off because it's You have no idea. There are pros out there, Garrett Blatnick, who have given away thousands and thousands of dollars to games to help the game stay alive in his area. Like, and me and Garrett aren't friends by any measure. In fact, a lot of people could say we're enemies, even though we don't talk and we have no relationship. Like, we've had a couple of bad field interactions, but I wish him the best. He does incredible things for the games, and I hope he throws a 19-foot wall. You know, like genuinely, that would be awesome. So I'm glad he's two-turning. I hope he finds great success in it. So, like,
him and Justin just did a backyard game this past weekend.
Fucking awesome.
I think Houseware made the shirts.
Incredible.
Like, they did a short-notice backyarder.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm really happy for him. The sport needs more of that, you know? So I saw that, and that pissed me off. Because, again, like, I've spent more money since going pro while also giving away more money because I'm more vested. So you can make the argument that, oh, you have it so easy. No, I have more responsibility because I, whether you like it or not, am the top level of the sport with Worlds invites. And we'll get there in a second, but
Either now.
Or, yeah, but like...
Do you want a beer for this last part? I can...
Yeah, we'll get there in a second, but... And it's true, I don't think that amateurs belong at festivals, except for the couple of festivals that are the turning points of going professional. Like, I don't think that. And that's not asking or promoting less opportunities for masters or amateurs. I'm not saying that. I think we need 3 times as many amateur competitions. And everyone shits on me when I say that, because people say, that's not sustainable and you're thinning out your pool. Okay, well, you can't be mad at me for both. I think
but
we
a backyarder with 20 people is still a backyarder.
It's still a backyarder. And it's a better
game that
run
got tickets sold to it with 75 amps where everyone has to sit in the heat and wait.
And it's a backyarder with no breaks.
If we legitimize backyarders, you could hypothetically go run them in 5 to 6 hours a day instead of 9-hour days.
We've gone through fucking pro comps.
That's what I'm saying.
We've gone through 10 people pro comps in like 2 hours because you just ran through it and it didn't take that much time. Mm-hmm. We could run 20-person backyard games in 3 or 4 hours, like start at 10, be done by 2, have a party.
I started thinking about that the other day because I kept hearing people say, like, well, what if AMs don't belong at festival games?
I don't think they do yet.
In general.
Right, because they don't.
Outside of, like
Dublin.
Yeah.
ECCs.
Yeah, make them big deals. Blue Ridge Championships.
Blue Ridge, Loon, whatever.
Yeah.
Green Hill, whatever your benchmark of the next step is, celebrate the guys that are worth celebrating, but it's not worth celebrating mediocrity.
It's almost worth killing mediocrity. I just put it on a bunch of shirts.
Right, like...
That are getting donated to... I'm donating a bunch of shirts to Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
And gift bags that I've been heat pressing.
Yeah, how much money are you losing on that? Enough that you're losing money.
I'm donating ones to Penryn, too, because I was feeling nice. So I'm going to donate T-shirts and rally towels to Penryn, and then sweatshirts and hoodies and gift bags to Dublin.
And you have nothing bad going on in your life right now.
No. Everything's
great.
When you hear a loud noise when I walk in the other room, just keep talking.
Yeah, everything's great. And, I mean, that's all coming from the sweet, podcast money, though, right?
Yeah, all those guys.
All those tens of listeners. So, like, it's insanity. Like, people hear the word pro, and it's all of a sudden it's a class problem. And I always go back to the classic, I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm trying to help you.
I'm not trying to rob you.
I'm not trying to rob you. Yeah, like, it's... Mm-hmm. I don't do any of this shit for me. In fact, I'm going to make that evident pretty here by voting with my attendance on shit. But it's just driving me crazy. Like, I am the reason Heavy Athlete came to be. I am. Me. Because I was pissed off and tired of the system. There was a group chat, and I sat down with my brother, and it was a joint venture, and we said, I think we have to do this, Mike, because I really want to go pro in this sport, but I need to know that I earned it. And I can't do this fake bullshit rankings where the scores don't line up with the actual records, and it hasn't been updated, and there is no email link, and you can't even donate it to it, and there's no way to get in contact with anyone, and we don't know when it's going to die. We have to fix it, Mike. Please, God, I'm worried about the sport. And I just got the comment of every couple of years there's a guy that comes in and thinks they're going to change everything about the sport. I did. Fuck you. So let's start there. The Highland Games is what it is right now with the popularity it is right now. and the ease of access and the ability to do so in a fast ranking system and a fast database and constant updates, and someone that's slaving away at it and working tirelessly and mostly thanklessly to make $400 a month, because that's how much the website makes right now.
I wish the podcast made $400 a month.
Well, you're not putting 70 hours a week into it.
I wish that, no, that's true.
Right. So,
still several.
Yeah, still several, but Mike is. So, like, and there are expenses there, and like, how do you think that's fucking working? But, like, the people that you're pushing out, maybe someone would have made a fucking difference if anyone actually stuck by them. You know, Cabermetrics was becoming a thing and was really excited to help the sport. And we've talked to the guy that runs Cabermetrics a couple times, and he said, you know what, to pay for this service, I'm just going to sell a couple patches. So he bought 50 patches. And you know how many of them he sold? 4 or 7. One of those numbers. Like,
someone the other day was telling me to sell more shirts for the podcast, and that's great. I got a large response on the poll about should I sell shorts. I said, that's great. The last time we did that, I put in a bunch of effort. I designed shirts.
Right.
I reached out to Hossware. They said they could print them. Here were the numbers, and it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And out of all the people that said they wanted shirts, I think 9 people ordered shirts.
Yeah. You know, a third, a fourth, a fifth. Like,
not
a lot.
Not even half.
You're right.
Like,
so it becomes a... Yeah, maybe these people would have made a fucking difference if he would have stuck around. Maybe Hayden Ballio could have done more if people would have stuck around and helped pay for a programmer. Maybe, you know, maybe we could have gotten more done. Maybe we would have better championships. Maybe there would have been a clear ranking systems and a qualifier and something that wasn't so archaic. You know, and like maybe I have gone in and had the conversations with people and now Heavy Athletes and entirely Mike, because I didn't want it to be, we both agreed that as long as I was competing, that I wouldn't be a part of it, right? Because I didn't want any room for it to look like that it was one-sided, and I wanted Mike to be able to go as someone that is, the man played water polo, okay? Like, he's not...
athletic.
He has no... Yeah, he's not athletic. He has no vetting in the sport. Like, he's truly an outsider, which is what you need, because we didn't need someone to suck the dick of the sport and say, no, everything's fine. We needed someone to say, these are the numbers. We needed a math guy. So, anyway, like, maybe these people would have done these things if the community wasn't shit. But I'm convinced the community is shit, and that's what I heard the entire time. I heard that there's a couple of people that took it seriously, and there are a lot of people LARPing in the field. And the people that are LARPing in the field will tear you down for giving a shit, and that they're the reason it's dying, because they don't care. Because they don't. Because they want a fucking $5 trophy for winning their subclass at a Ren fair. Mm-hmm. And that's great. And I don't think that those people should go away. But there is a difference in the sport, which is why I think they should be separate things.
Yeah, here's the one thing I will say when you think the community sucks. I think what it actually is, the loudest people in the community suck. I think the community's actually good. I don't think we would have survived this long if the entire community was shit.
When the quiet ones don't speak up, it makes them cowards. If they're aware of what's happening and they don't speak up, they're cowards.
I don't think a lot of them are.
Aware of what's happening? I have gotten a tremendous amount of response that is supporting me and saying, you know, what the fuck? And I just said, go read. And they're extremely pissed off. I think there's a lot of people that show support in DMs, but not publicly. And they're cowards. And I said this much. Like, I don't care.
Someone asked how you were doing after your post. We can start transitioning to that. And then they're like, oh, let them know if I need anything. And I was like, just text him. Why do I understand I'm the in-between for a lot of logistic podcast things and games things, but if people are asking about you as a human, just fucking DM you.
I'm not going to respond, but I mean
that's the way you do that.
Yeah,
like checking on a.
Yeah,
unless they think you're suicidal, they don't need to ask me how you are.
Yeah, well, that's not new, but
I don't have a regular radar. I don't have an app where I can like.
Yeah, it's fucking comments got even as far as, you know, you're upset that people don't take the sport seriously? I am upset. I am in my feelings about it. Because I really gave a shit. I really used to care about this. It really made me. I mean, it made me cry on the phone with my mom today.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. Well, that was my caveat going into this. I think a lot of people are voicing a lot of loud opinions and not realizing that everyone's being loud because they give a shit. Like, it's... I don't understand how people are not having long-form conversations and putting so much onto other people. How you're projecting so many of your own issues or opinions onto others instead of having a long-form conversation. If you're talking to someone on Facebook, you have the ability to just message them.
Yeah, and here's the truth of it. Like, this has gotten to the point where one of my big things in the sport was, I'm going to do it as long as I know there's room to grow. I'm going to do it as long as this is something that my family can be proud of me for doing. I'm going to do it as long as this is a positive outlet for my mental health and a way for me to take my training. People said, oh, if you want to be serious, go to other sports. This can and is and has been a serious sport, but whatever. I've done serious sports. I've gone pro in like 6 of them. It doesn't, like, I'm doing this sport because it is fun. That doesn't mean they can't also be legitimate, and that's ridiculous. You don't think that the guys that are winning worlds are having fun? You're wrong. For strongman, they are. I know a lot of those dudes. They're having a blast. They're not doing it because oh, I can make 20 grand by deadlifting. They're doing it because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they'd have done it either way.
They'd have done it either way. I did it either way. I was an
All
amateur.
Those dudes are sweating their ass off in a shit gym right now with, save 2 to 3 of them.
And all those dudes were amateurs.
Uh-huh.
So, like, actually, before we get into that, I made the comment that the pro class doesn't, the sport can continue as, the pro class can continue without amateurs, which is something to address because that was one of the big ones. It absolutely can. Strongman existed. World's Strongest Man existed.
Without amateur comps.
From 1977 all the way to 2008 before Giants Live started, 7 or 8. And OSG, you know when OSG came along? So anyway, before the official qualifying route for Worlds came along was 40 years. You know how long it was? 30 years. You know how long it was between the official qualifying route, OSG, and Giants Live?
5 years.
10. OSG started in 2017. So the way you got to the comp to get to the comp didn't exist until 8 years ago. So when people say, oh, you need an amateur class, no, you need athletes.
Well, and here's the thing. They have an amateur class and a pathway to go pro via the amateur class. We don't have that same guideline.
And only for the last 8 years.
Yeah. But that's not even a thing. We don't have a game where if you win or podium, you become a pro.
There are no hard, fast rules that say 7,000 points.
There's unspoken ones, there is...
And people talk about these unspoken rules.
I could declare pro right now.
You absolutely could.
I'm not going to.
And you could also go throw pro and then go throw an amateur worlds because the AD is chill about it because I got a response about it.
Oh, is that what's...
The AD's chill about it. He said it doesn't matter. 2 pro demos in a pro game, it doesn't matter. He's chill about it. I'll show you the fucking DM. Like,
I believe you.
It's crazy. I know. But... And I don't hate the athlete for that.
No, that's on the...
At the same time...
If you're running what you're calling a world champion, any level of championship, it should be clear and well-defined, and that's what makes it... Drug testing doesn't make it legitimate. Right. Clear and defined standards make it legitimate.
Clear and defined standards make it legitimate. And if drug testing's one of them, it's one of them.
That's fine, as long as...
But, yeah, clear and defined standards make it. And that's everyone's argument. It's like, we don't have clear and defined standards, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Well, and they're angry. Amateurs in it, and then you invite and are okay with a pro.
Right. But then they're angry when we want clear and defined standards. And it's like, well, but everyone's also angry that Eric Frazier's throwing as a master, even though he is. He's over 40. Spencer Tyler's a master. Spencer Tyler, having not thrown a heavyweight in 3 years, just went out and threw a fucking 47. Mm-hmm. Like it was nothing, because he was bored.
Yeah.
Because he was bored and wanted to hang out.
This bores me.
He wanted to hang out with the boys. And so he was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll go give it the old college try, 47. Oh, okay, that's cool. You know, you're the world lead now.
Man, I'd like to throw a 37 this year.
Yeah, but most of the sport would love to throw a 27. And that's okay.
Well, sure.
And that's okay. Like, yeah. But you don't celebrate those people. You say good job when they get PRs, but like you can treat things with objective reality. Anyway, like, yeah, I cried on the phone with my mom today because I had the conversation. Here's why heavy athletes started. Heavy athletes started and really became a thing because I wanted to make a clear pathway. Because I wanted to see the marks actually mean something. Heavy athletes started because we were all so frustrated. Me, you, and Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
We were frustrated that the rankings didn't mean anything. The scores went in whenever ADs wanted, which could have been months. And I didn't get an invite to Amateur Worlds because I didn't have a light hammer mark in, even though I'd thrown light hammer at 3 games. And that's the thing that kept me out of Amateur Worlds. Mm-hmm. I went pro before it mattered. But like that's why heavy athlete became a thing. We wanted clear, defined standards, and we needed it to make sense because if I was going to progress, I wanted to know, the unspoken rule was 7,000 points. And I knew that the records weren't accurate. And so I needed to see the records accurately so I could know how many points I had to know if I actually deserved to go pro. Because I wouldn't go pro if it was 6,900 points because they hadn't updated the scores. I wouldn't have said yes. So I waited until I actually was, and then I went pro. Mm-hmm. And that was that, but and then heavy athlete got a Celtic ranker because I thought I was owed a Celtic invite last year, and I didn't get one because I didn't update the rankings on NASCA because the person that updated it didn't update them, and so I was like, damn, like how am I supposed to qualify? I'm top 10 in the world. How am I supposed to qualify for our national championships so I can go to Worlds? We'll get there in a second. So I can go to Worlds if the rankings don't get updated. So then, hey, look at that. One person was a spark in the pan that did make a difference because now that is up to date. And we're talking to these festivals. Mike is talking to these festivals and getting them on board. I'm just a spokesperson that says, go talk to Mike. And if you DM me with a question, I'm going to say, ask Mike. So that is, like, I don't know. A year and a half, 2 years ago, there was direct involvement. I don't, like, my brother's moving to Kansas. I'll miss him dearly, but, like...
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like...
I assumed as much the way he was talking about his boo-boo.
But, like... that's... It's not me. It's now Mike's success. And it's not even the community's success. It's Mike's success. Because the community isn't funding Mike. Mike is deranged. And the McDougall family has taken upon themselves to run this website and keep... everyone fed and clothed and gas in car. So, like, let's be real specific about what's happening. Like, we're not directly responsible for it. At the same time, $400 a month isn't enough to pay for food and gasoline. So someone's paying for it, and it's not you.
It wouldn't pay for either of all.
They wouldn't pay for a car
payment.
Like, it wouldn't pay for... So anyway, like, you want to know heavy athletes' biggest contributors... It's me and Mom. Like, that's it. You guys don't give a shit. Like, there's 30 of you that are paying $5 a month and 10 of you that are paying 10. Like, it doesn't... Our transaction fees, heavy athletes' transaction fees, are less than Eventbrite. Like, than any other hosting service that you can run payment through. We're giving a better product for less money where it's all consolidated. And people still have aversion. And it's like, what has the community done that has convinced Mike to stick around? You guys are lucky the website just doesn't disappear. Because he's gotten pissed off and frustrated a couple of times, or it could have just disappeared.
There is a level of entitlement that people have found with heavy athlete that I have in talking with Mike. The people that will message him upset about a thing.
Uh-huh.
And here's the thing, I don't
demanding things.
Yeah, I don't mean there might be some ADs that hear that and think I'm talking about them. I'm not. I'm talking about like specific athletes, and it's often incredibly low-level athletes who aren't even qualifying for large games that end up pissed off about something that they can or can't do on the website. And I'm confused as to why this service you're not paying for needs to mold itself to your one out of the 3,500 athletes in the system for the year.
Yeah.
Why does it need to change to be your thing? I don't.
And that's it. Like, and that's it. And someone might hear that and say, that's hypocritical because, man, aren't you trying to change the sport? And I'd make the argument, I'm not.
And we're just trying to elevate it. We're not actually trying to change
I want the sport to be what the sport is. I think but the sport isn't the festivals. And we've made that abundantly clear, and that's everyone's opinion. Like, I'm not trying to change the sport. We're throwing the same 9 events. I'm trying to change where it happens so that we can do more of them. I'm trying to give more opportunities to amateurs, not less.
That you can do more of them so that there's more potential for making money, so that there's clear and defined standards, so that there's easy access to information and registrations and
maybe even a governing body, which we'll get to in a minute. But, like, it's... So, yeah, you're absolutely fucking right. Like, I do think there are things that need to happen. I don't want it to be different. There are changes, and, like, that's nonsense. I do want it to change. I want it to be better. Like, you guys are so used to the warmth that you don't care that it's shit. Like, and it takes some scrubbing to get out of that situation. But too many people are comfortable in shit.
Well, we had that conversation the other day where about, and we'll keep it very general because this is recording, like why certain organizations are doing the thing they are. Like, it doesn't seem like they're making money. It doesn't seem like you recall that. And what I came to was exactly that. I think they're just so comfortable doing it the way they've been doing it, even though it's benefiting no one.
And they're not being
even themselves,
right?
But they're so comfortable they don't realize that it's killing them and everything else.
Well, they're in an abusive relationship, and they haven't come to terms with that yet. And they're saying, I'm doing it out of love, but the bruises are there. So, like, it doesn't... Here's my
bruises
favorite...
are bad, no.
So, here's my favorite analogy for abuse. It doesn't matter... someone hands you a cup of piss. It doesn't matter how much sugar they put in it. You have to pour out the piss first. Like, it doesn't matter... The piss is there. It doesn't matter what you do in the aftermath. Like, you can be as sweet as you want, but it's still a cup of piss. You have to pour it out first.
Yeah.
Like, there is no, any of you in an abusive relationship, think about that for a second. But,
oh, fuck.
Oh, shit. But, it's me. I'm abusing Jeremy. But,
yeah, but it's consensual.
Yeah. He likes the piss. Little pistol.
There's actually too much sugar in my piss.
Yeah. There's too much sugar.
Who put all the sugar in my...
It's diabetes piss. I'm Northrop Grumman. Anyway, long story short...
Wilford Brimley. Northrop Grumman.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's half a government contractor and half some other thing.
This bomb gives diabetes. But,
that's what we...
Yeah.
Is that how we settle the Middle East? We just give everyone chronic illness?
I'm not actually in a position to touch that one right now with everything else happening.
So, I don't want to talk about it at all. I made one political joke about Canada becoming the 51st state on Danny's episode, and I almost cut it. And then I was like, I hope everyone knows this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I hope none of you take your political advice from me.
It would have to be
if you're going to take any advice from me, my God.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be politics.
It shouldn't. Yeah. But to get to the point of all this, I'm quitting.
Ta-da.
I'm quitting the sport.
But you've decided you're quitting creatively.
Well, so there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
I'm stepping away.
Yeah, the headline is Matt McDougall quits the sport after this season.
Well, and after this season means I'm turning down my Worlds invite. I'm going to turn down my Celtic invite.
But I'm literally going to Maine.
I know, and I'm not. I know.
Have you told Josh and Bill that?
Not yet. So,
all right.
I need to make these phone calls. This has been a today decision that I, consulted my people in my clan and my tribe and talked to them about. But, yeah, I'm quitting, and not like a year hiatus either. I'm stepping away from the sport. So, we'll see what that means. I hope that you guys have a lot of fun LARPing in fields and not taking it seriously, and with the expectation that what you're doing is going to become more and more obscure. And I hope that you get whatever sense of uniqueness or quirkiness that you need out of that. But I won't participate in it. So all my life, I've wanted to represent Team USA. And, I wanted to feel like I earned the American flag on my back, and I earned all of these things. And I finally got my Worlds invite. But, I mean, one of the ADs from Worlds publicly posted on Facebook that, he doesn't use ranking systems. And he invites people based off of vibe and recommendation. And,
who did that?
Huh?
What was that?
Not Crawford, the other one. For Worlds.
Brebner?
No. For Crawford's World.
Oh, for the... Who else
He used to run the AAA one in California, Pleasanton. Who's that? Steve Conway. Steve Conway came out and said on a Facebook post that, he doesn't use any of the rankings. He's never looked at NASCA. He just goes off of recommendations from people. And to get into Worlds...
So we're back to the same complaint as Amateur Worlds.
As Amateur Worlds or Celtic the first year.
What's the standard?
I didn't earn it because no one earned it, but I won't be complicit in it. So I have to turn down my invite, and I'm really sorry to the people that love me, that stuck their neck out for me, that worked really hard because they cared about me and my opinion and knew that I was a positive force for the games and all the things I was doing behind the scenes, and the hours and hours that I bring up and I get ridiculed for online. But I'm done. You won. Congrats. I'll be another has-been to this sport, and that's okay. It's okay that I'm the youngest guy at Worlds by 4 years, and I have to turn it down. It's okay that another spark in the pan that was going to come in and change things. I had another decade in this sport. I'm only getting started. I was a 7,800 point athlete, but it's okay because you guys don't want me here. So. And I can't do the things I want to do because you have no rules or guidance. So it doesn't do for me what I need it to do for my goals and ambitions. I've only spent money dedicating it to people that don't like me. So I'm not going to spend money on people that don't like me anymore. And that's going to be tough because, there are other people in situations in the sport that are only being supported because I support them, and you're losing me. And I wonder what that's going to do to the rest of the sport, genuinely. Because I'm not buying groceries anymore. I'm not doing that. There are things that I was doing that I'm not because you guys don't want me here. Clearly, the vast majority of people, the amateurs, don't want me. So I'm going to go fuck off.
Okay. What does the fucking off look like?
I'm not going to go into that right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go fuck off. That's it. I'm out. I'm going to go throw Scottish Worlds. They drug test there. It's a show and throw. I'm going to go throw at Scottish Worlds, and this is it.